your reaction to this incident?
Well, we have been seeing the European Union and their mission playing these unfair games in the Mediterranean. I think a lot of it is to do with actually control of the Mediterranean. It has nothing to do with imposing or monitoring an arms embargo as such. The noises that we're hearing from Europe is all about Turkey supplying weapons to Libya. Let's not forget that Libya and Turkey signed an official agreement in public at the end of last year, which was ratified by the Turkish parliament in January of this year, and this is all above board. The reason for doing that was that Russian Wagner mercenaries were 6 kilometers from the center of Tripoli during a 1-year shelling and bombing campaign of Tripoli by Haftar, France, Egypt, UAE and Russia. So it was in defense of the Libyan people. Nobody, not one country came to the defense of the Libyan people except Turkey. It seems that Europeans are not happy about that. And they are playing these games and these shenanigans are continuing. Unfortunately, I think it's also part of the whole Europe, France, Turkey, what can I say, disputes. I think a lot of it is about, the East Mediterranean, the Mediterranean as a whole, and Libya, of course, is very much part of that.
Now, Turkey has said the neutrality of Operation Irini, as it's known, is currently under discussion. So, how neutral is it? That's my question to you.
How neutral? It's not neutral at all, because the east of Libya has a land border with Egypt. Weapons are still being supplied by through that border by the Emirates, and indeed yesterday there was a cargo plane going from Syria to Benghazi to supply Haftar, presumably. I mean, why would there be a Russian cargo plane going from Syria to Benghazi? So Haftar at the moment, in fact, is becoming more and more entrenched in Sirte, which is only a few hundred kilometers from Tripoli. It's about 500 kilometers from Tripoli. And they are preparing for war. So why Irini is trying to stop the government that it recognizes in Tripoli from defending itself against yet another attack by Haftar and the UAE is it's very difficult to understand. Even talking about the United Nations and the decisions by the United Nations, you may be aware of the mass graves that have been found in Terhorna. We're seeing them every day. Hundreds of bodies are still being given back to their relatives. The United Nations had a meeting to impose sanctions against the main military commander under Haftar, who was the cause of who basically murdered these people. And Russia intervened and stopped it, and that's the end. That's the end of that. The UAE continues to secretly supply Haftar. When I say secretly, it is an open secret. The whole world knows about it, yet not one country is doing anything about it at the moment at all. The Russians are still occupying military bases in Libya, namely, for example, Jufra, which is in the center of Libya. Nobody's doing anything about it at all. The Europeans seem to be happy for Haftar to become dictator and to continue murdering Libyans. We don't understand. The Libyan people are very upset about this. They are upset that a country which they have done a deal with above board, they've even informed the United Nations of this deal, is being stopped from supplying humanitarian aid. That's one, because Libya is the economy of Libya is in a dire state at the moment because of COVID and because, of course, the oil blockade. The oil blockade by who? Again, it was by Russians. Did the Europeans do anything about that? Absolutely nothing. So we are furious, absolutely furious with the way that it is going. And it seems that Europe is now siding with Russia, siding with the UAE, and siding with Egypt against the people of Libya, who just want a democratic, free country and a prosperous state and want peace. Europe seems to be against peace.
Ahmed Sewehli, Libyan affairs analyst, thanks so much for sharing your expertise with us.